You're fired. That's right. I'm done. D-U-N. Done. Okay, I know that's what we want to say to a few of our clients, but there's a better way. So I'm Jenny Lee with Jenny Lee Salon Education. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this firing clients kind of thing. Okay, first of all, can we even really fire a client? We didn't hire them, so we can't really fire them technically. We're not, we didn't employ them, so we're not really firing them. What we really mean is we are terminating like our professional business relationship with this person. We're ending that business relationship with them. So, but it feels good to say fired. I'm firing them. They're done, out of here. It does feel good to do that. And there are times when we need to separate ourselves from certain people. So when is that time? Because there is time. When is that time? How do you know when it's there? That's a potential thing that you need to do. And then let's talk about how to actually go about that, where hopefully we can find a win-win for you and the client. Okay. So we got a special bonus insight at the end of the video. So I hope you'll stick around. We're going to whiz through this list really quickly, and hopefully you'll stick around to the end and see what our special bonus insight is today, okay? Okay, so when might we need to fire a client? When they're stepping over boundaries, when they're stepping over our boundaries. That is going to be your first clicker to say, hey, there's a red flag here, and maybe it's time to part ways. One of the ways that we can start to know that probably is the most common is showing up late or no showing an appointment. If they're showing up late, it's going to affect the way that we are able to run business the rest of the day. So often are people pleasers. We typically are service minded. That's why we enjoy this industry so much. We enjoy pouring into people and making them feel good and, feel confident. So we're an easy target in this way. However, we do understand, because we are human, people are going to get sick. They're going to get held up at work. They're going to, for whatever reason, there might be something come up at the last minute. And we understand that. The big point here is if they're repeatedly showing up late and no showing. So we're going to talk about showing up late real quick. If they're repeatedly showing up late, then it's clearly showing their disrespect for you as a stylist, as a business owner, and as disrespect as your ability to run your business for the rest of the day. So it's definitely going to be a kicker. When they show up late, it causes us to rush. It can cause us to run behind. You're trying to think real quick and get back on schedule, and I've got to come up with this color formula, and it can cause you to make just a bad decision. Suppose they've got super thick hair and they need layers. In your mind, how can I cut these layers on this woman who has so much hair like super fast? And you may try a new technique that you've never really even tried before out of desperation, and it go bad. So now you're even later. So it can cause the rushing can cause us to make bad decisions. It also can make us shortchange, not necessarily the client who has shown up late, but all the clients who come after that. We might have to shortchange them because now we don't have enough time. So we're going to have to rush through. We might even have to skip services, skip doing a detox that we were going to do on someone, or skip doing a condition treatment that someone desperately needed. If this is something they're doing repeatedly, it's constantly putting you in a spot of having to talk to someone and cover our own honey, but try to make it right. So that's an uncomfortable position as they're stepping over your boundaries. That puts you in a bad spot. In cutting off the services that you may have to do, you're not only affecting you, but also now you're a shampoo assistant. So the shampoo assistant who was going to give this rockin' jammin' massage is now having to rush to get through the day to try to help you get back on time. Well, no matter how that person is paid, they're going to not give the service that they would normally give. And now you are going to shortchange their potential tips. So no matter how they're paid, that client is dipping into their income. So when we step back and we realize how that client is repeatedly showing up late, is now disrespecting our time as the stylist, but also dipping into our clients who come in later in the day, you start to see the ripple effect. It affects more than just them, and it affects more than just you as the stylist. It's now affecting every client, and it's affecting your shampoo assistant. So let's talk no-shows really quick. So no-shows, obviously the biggie is, I lost that income, or I wasted 2 hours or 3 hours of my day. And especially if it happens in the middle of the day. Hey, we all know the one who doesn't show up at the end of the day. We can almost get excited about that. But the ones that happen at the beginning of the day or the middle of the day, wow, it hurts. So not just is it financial, but it's also our time, that now we've wasted this time. And yes, there are things we can do to try to fill that space. But again, stepping over the boundaries, now they're asking us to have to figure out what to do when, if they had shown up on time, then we wouldn't have to do that. Or if they'd shown up at all, we wouldn't have to be in that position. But it affects our income by affecting, our ability to pay bills, whether you're single or you're married or kids. There are things that you're probably planning on spending that money on. And so therefore we don't have it because they didn't come in. And again, remember, we're not just affecting our family's needs, but we're affecting the shampoo assistants, any of the support staff. It's now affecting their family's needs. So you start to see the ripple effect and start to see the bigger picture, when sometimes we want to just go, oh, well, this is the nature of the business. And it is the nature of the business to a certain extent. But if you have a repeat offender, that's what we're talking about here. A repeat offender is someone who has decided that your boundaries don't mean anything to them. So affecting other people's, would be stepping over the boundaries. And that's exactly what that is, by continually showing up late or not showing up at all. All right. Our second thing is, if you just can't satisfy them. This is a person who just can't be satisfied. You start to look at it and you think, okay, do we just not communicate well together? Am I not understanding what they're wanting? You might not be a good fit for each other. Your communication styles may be so different that you're not beneficial to each other. So that would be a red flag to say, hey, maybe we need to part ways. Being able to understand what they want is crucial for having a successful interaction with a client and building a client for the long haul. So if you are not able to satisfy them, if you're not able to understand what it is that they want, then it might be the kind thing to let them find someone else who does understand and talk their language and speak in a communication style that they both understand. That would be a better fit for them. How about the client who is happy when they leave? They love it. This is great. This is perfect. And then a day or two later, you get the text, or the front desk gives you a message and says, so-and-so called and they're not happy. Sometimes these things are going to happen. If someone is doing these things repeatedly, then you start to have to let the flag go up to say, maybe this is not, maybe it's time to part ways. If they're constantly not happy with the service, then being strapped with redos is time consuming, cost money, and again, spills over into everybody else, every other client that you've got, because now you've got to work them in between people. So again, twofold, stepping over our boundaries, hello, and also taking up your time. So redos. Another thing that results from someone who says that they're happy, and when they leave, they come back and then they call back. Their follow-up visit, it extends the length of your consultation time. So now, even if they did show up on time and they were happy last time, now our consultation is going to take longer because we have to break down what it was they liked, what it was that they didn't like. Maybe they wanted to grow their bangs out, so they left their bangs. So now we've got to talk about that again. Well, I thought you wanted to grow your bangs out. Well, no, I don't want to grow them out. I did, but I don't now. It extends your consultation time, running you behind, again, affecting everyone else and affecting the ability to run your salon efficiently. So one of the things to think about is it you that is not being able to give them what they need? Is it something that they're going through? They've just got a lot going on in their lives, and so they're not happy about anything right now. And so they're looking for control. Sometimes human nature is, when things get overwhelming, maybe they're having problems at home, or maybe work is stressful, or there's somebody sick that may be out of their control. Sometimes look for that control with their hair. And you guys know it. You can be the brunt of that. So is it something that you can help with? And maybe you just need to ride this little storm out with them. If this is something new, you've done their hair for 10 years, but for some reason over the last year and a half, 2 years, they're calling you back all the time. So is it something that you can ride through and weather this storm with them and we're going to hopefully get back to normal? Or is this something like this is just a new way of life for them? If it's a new way of life for them, I would say to let it ride a little bit to make sure. But if this is a new way of life, then it might be time to part ways. It might be the time to part ways. Okay, so number 3 on reasons why it might be time to part ways with your client, fire them, would be inappropriate behavior. Let's break it down because sometimes people pleasers like us, people with the optimistic attitude, people who want to think the best of everybody else, we might try to excuse certain behavior and maybe we shouldn't. So let's look at some of the reasons and things that inappropriate behavior might look like. Talking super loudly in the salon, making other people feel uncomfortable, maybe talking negatively about other people in the salon, whether that be a staff member, a team member, or another client. That type of talking would be deemed inappropriate when it can hurt someone else, when it can make others feel uncomfortable. Cutting in on another stylist and client's conversation. There are many times in a salon where the conversation begins to feel barbershop, where we talk to each other. This one's talking, we all start laughing, everything. Or a world event happens, and it happens that we all want to communicate together. But that there are times when your stylist neighbor is trying to have a serious conversation. Maybe they're talking about something heavy and weighty, and your client wants to keep butting in or over and asking questions when it's inappropriate. So that might be a time to know we might need to start analyzing this. Is this repeated behavior or is this something that's just happening today? But if it's repeated behavior, it might be the red flag that it might be time to part ways. Another thing that could be deemed as inappropriate would be like telling inappropriate jokes, telling inappropriate stories, clearly touching inappropriately. I was younger when I was a salon owner, and I had an older gentleman that worked at our salon, and he was super nice. He was a little old school, super nice, but he would just, come up and rub the girl's shoulders, and it just made you feel uncomfortable. I don't know that he actually planned to do anything more, but it made you feel uncomfortable. And so after discussing it with him 2 or 3 times, I finally had to say, our time has come to a close. Now, that was someone who actually worked at the salon. You can't have that. But for a client, same thing holds true. If you have a client who is telling inappropriate jokes to the stylist, even if they're whispering them, if it makes that person or any person that works on your team feel uncomfortable, that's inappropriate. It's not good. Another thing is confrontational. So many people there are certain people, I won't say so many, there are certain people who just really dig conflict. They dig being confrontational. Some people like to do it just to see your reaction. I do not understand these people, but they like to see your reaction. I had a client one time who showed me, we'll say, lewd pictures that she and her, fella had gotten taken. And when I was like, okay, you know what, maybe I don't need to see these pictures, she got a big kick out of laughing at me and the little Christian girl that know how to handle. I'm just showing her what's out in the real world and, patting me on the back because you're so modest and pure. And it was just to see my reaction. And I've seen the naked bodies before, but I don't need to see yours. So say whatever you want to. I had to just blow it off and go. I eventually wound up having to fire that client for other inappropriate behavior and other stepping over boundaries. When this showed up, I should have done it then, and I didn't. And you live and learn. So I think lastly, the thing that we would say in this little category is if you or anyone on your team feel threatened by this person, if you feel threatened in any way, making you feel uncomfortable, that's going to be a sign to say, hey, it's time to part ways. Enough said. That one's easy. All of these things are a drain to your energy. They cost you time and money, and it's an encroachment into your time and to your peace of mind. So these are the times repeated behavior is the time to say no more. Okay, so here's the biggie, guys. This is the part you're looking for. Now we know sometimes that it might be good to part ways. So how do we do it when the time is necessary? When we start to see that this is not fixing itself, it's not writing it out, how do we handle parting ways with a client when it is absolutely necessary? First of all, pray about it. That sounds so easy and so simple. As a Christian, that's going to be the first thing I do is start to pray about it. As I realize this is not getting better, this is getting harder. I'm finding myself praying, Lord, how do I handle this person? If I'm having to do that for a while, I need to pray about it. God wants you to act. He doesn't just want you to pray about it and take this inappropriate behavior. You are running a business. You are now protecting not just yourself, but you're protecting your team and your salon culture and your salon reputation. So remember what all you're praying about, protecting and seeing the wisdom in what you need to do. The second thing I would say to do is to share it with a mentor or someone that you trust. You want to make sure that this is not just you being tired, that you are short fused with this person. You want to make sure that you are seeing things for what they actually are. Sometimes it's hard for us to see that it may be us as opposed to somebody else. So we want to seek some wisdom from someone else before we act. All right. Now, number 3, it's time to make the decision. It is time. You have prayed about it. You've asked somebody else. You have been patient. You have tried to handle this as you've gone along on a day-to-day or a 6-week basis, whatever it is. So now you've made the decision. It's time. We have to part ways. How are you going to go about it? In my opinion, you need to do it face to face. There is something about seeing a person's eyes that can make us softer. You can see that someone is genuine. You can also see if there's anger. So if you're angry, you might want to take a step back. I think the best way to do it is to do it face to face, not over text and not over email. I know a lot of people encourage email, and that's fine if that's the way you want to do it. Personally, I think anytime something like that is written in a text or in an email, the tone can be taken out of context. Even if it's a super nicely worded email, and sometimes you can put that in a text, but text usually is shorter, it can come across smart aleck. It can come across sarcastic. I have so enjoyed our time together. I have really enjoyed our time together. However, do you see, reading it it's perception. So if you can make sure that you speak to this person with respect, that you can speak slowly, that you can stay controlled and calm, try to come across with some empathy, because this person came to you to try to get their hair done, and you want to appreciate that. They came to you seeking advice, seeking help, seeking expertise. So let's have some compassion for someone that we just aren't working with, okay? Make sure that your tone is respectful as you are dropping this bad news. When you do this, you want to leave them with their dignity intact, because nobody wants to hear, we don't want you coming here anymore. Nobody wants to hear that. Now, understandably, these are people who are repeatedly overstepping boundaries. These people are repeatedly causing issues in your salon. So it's understandable. Still leave them. You take the high road. No matter what they're doing, no matter what they've done, if you can take the high road, you can sleep better at night. When this little conversation that's uncomfortable and awkward is over with, you can at least sleep good knowing I did my best. I tried to be nice. I tried to leave them with their dignity. So you can have peace knowing that. My other tip is to do this at the end of the service. So if they've come up late, whatever it is, try your best to finish and complete the service. Let them get to the front desk and pay. At the end of them paying, as they're wrapping that up, come stand next to them, take them to the side, step off to the side. You don't want to do this yelling in front of a bunch of clients. Walk them outside, maybe do it on the sidewalk outside, but say, so-and-so, I have so appreciated our time together. I have so enjoyed getting to know you. However, I think our professional relationship has come to an end. It is time for that to come to a close. Let them know I'm not able to meet your needs, and I really want you to be happy. When you came to me, I was really hoping that I would be the one to be able to meet your needs and help you to be happy. My ultimate goal as a hairstylist is for you to be happy with your hair. I know how that affects everyday life. And so I really want you to be happy. At this point, you can leave it there or you can offer up someone else. So maybe give them 1, 2, 3 names of either another stylist or another salon and let them know that I think people might be able to meet your needs better. This person specializes in this technique. I don't think I'm able to do that for you. So I would really love for you to go to them because I want you to be happy with your hair. Try your best to not let this conversation linger. You want it short and sweet. Short, kind, and sweet. Let them know, this is something I always say to mine. If I see you out at Walmart, I'm going to say hello. Just because I'm not able to meet your needs in the salon doesn't mean I don't want to be an acquaintance with you and to be friendly with you. If I see you out and about, I'm going to say, hey, hug your neck. How's the family? Great. So good to see you, and keep on trucking. Let them know that this is not a rejection on you. It's just that we don't all connect. We don't all understand the same communication styles. We can't read everyone's mind, and it is impossible to please everyone. So letting them know that you understand it is impossible to please everyone all the time takes some of the pressure off of you and them. So this will be when there's a good chance that that client is going to say, oh, no, I'm happy. Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. I don't want you to feel bad. If you know that this is a repeat offender that has been stepping over the boundaries, all you need to do is follow that up with, I appreciate you saying that, but I really feel it's in both of our best interest for you to find someone else who meets your needs better. I have appreciated getting to know you, but our time has come to an end. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much again. But yes, let them know when they try to push that you appreciate their kind words. You have loved your time together and it's been so great getting to know you, but you really do feel it's in both of your best interests to find someone else that can meet your needs better than I can. And that's okay. Let them know it's okay. Now, for our bonus insight. Guys, this one may be tough, but I appreciate you sticking around. When dealing with clients that are difficult, that are repeat offenders, and you need to fire them, really think about it. Is this something you need to do? Do you need to get rid of this person? Let's be very picky and choosy about, firing people. No business gets to really pick and choose who their clients are. I know that we have classes and books on how to get your ideal client, and we do want to try to get our ideal client. But that doesn't mean that 100% of everybody who comes and sits in your chair is going to G-haul with you perfectly right off the bat because you've marketed the right way and you've done all the things, so everyone should be great. It's going to take time to curate your clientele. McDonald's is not getting to turn somebody away because you just look like you might be mean or because you've walked in and out 5 times to the counter. You're going to have to do a whole lot for a business to turn down doing business with you, whether that's a boutique or sporting goods store or whatever, restaurant, whatever it is. So we need to be very picky and choosy and particular and have done our homework, have done everything that we can to make this work before we just throw out the firing a client. And the reason why I say that is because, is this person been put in your path to help you grow? Nobody wants to hear that. But are they there to teach you something? I mean, probably patience. That would be the first thing. They're probably there to teach you patience. But do you need to work on your communication skills? Do you need to work on your listening skills? This is some reflection time that would happen, like we said at the beginning of, all right, it's time to pull the trigger. You need to pray about it. You need to talk and seek somebody who's wiser than you, that a mentor. This kind of falls into that category. Let's be making sure that when we go to use this business tactic, and it is a necessary one, that we really feel like we need to do it. If there's something that we need to work on in our business and on ourselves of how we handle business, how we handle a client, then let's be humble enough and willing to try to grow as a stylist, as a communicator, as a human, as a person who wants to be able to love on other people. Make sure that you're taking time to first analyze yourself and see, is there some reason why this person is in my chair and how can they help me? You know, a stone that's in the river, they're smooth because they roll down the riverbank, knocking the edges off, and the water brushes over and it pushes them down, and it eventually smooths off and makes that stone good for throwing or good to cook on. There's so many uses. So we need to think, okay, are there any rough edges that I need to smooth out? Are there any things that I can do better to serve my clients better, to try to remedy this situation with a difficult client, or remedy the situation with a client who is repeatedly coming in late or being inappropriate? Whatever the reason, is there something that I could be doing better that would communicate better and grow as a person? Is there any skill that I need to be perfecting? All right, guys, so that is my take on firing a client. It's not a fun thing to do, but you know what? Sometimes it has to happen. I appreciate you sticking around. Please like and share this if you've got some people, because I know a lot of hairdressers and this conversation gets brought up a lot about firing a salon client. So if this is something that you think might help somebody else, a new stylist or somebody on your team as a salon owner, if it's somebody on your team that you need to share it with, do that. Let me know some of your techniques that you use down below. Would you be tactful or would you just fire it to them straight on? Let me know in the comments down below. Which route do you typically go? Fire it on or try to be tactful and nice? So let me know. It's Jenny Lee, Salon Education, and I appreciate you guys, and we'll check you later.